Hello there. We're gonna do something different this week for our video pick. This isn't a review of a movie that you can get on DVD or Netflix. Instead, I want to discuss the hubbub about a trailer that was released this week for the movie Dark Shadows. I wrote a blog post about this, which you can find a link to on our website or on the Facebook. But then I realized not a lot of people read today, so I'm going to talk to you about it here. If you haven't seen it, pause our show and go check it out. I'll wait here with the people who have seen it until you get back. I hope they don't take a long time. So, how's the weather by you folks? What? They're back? Oh good, they're back. First, let me say that my family has always been a big fan of the original Dark Shadows soap opera, starting with my mother who watched it way back in the 1960s, to my brother and me who watched it in reruns back in the 1980s. When NBC in New York aired it in the late night, I used to sneak downstairs and watch it in the dark. Besides the 1990s revival that kept getting preempted for the Gulf War, and they never aired 2004 pilot for the WB. Not much has happened with our beloved Dark Shadows. Then we heard Tim Burton and Johnny Depp were going to bring it to the big screen, and fans rejoiced. I didn't. Here's why. Look at a list of Burton and Depp's work together, and pay attention to the types of films Burton makes, and the characters Depp plays in them. Edward Scissorhands, a comedy with a weird outsider played by Depp. Ed Wood, a comedy with a weird outsider played by Depp. Sleepy Hollow, a comedy with a weird outsider played by Depp. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a comedy with a weird outsider played by Depp. Sweeney Todd, a comedy with a homicidal but weird outsider played by Depp. Do you see a pattern here? I like Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, but I was afraid they would camp up a cherished piece of TV that fans adore. I had the feeling they would when I first saw Depp in his Barnabas Collins makeup. He looked like Michael Jackson's ghost. What? Too soon? So now we have the trailer that debuted on Thursday. Right away, the Facebook and Twitterverse exploded with negative fanboy reaction. They made Dark Shadows into a comedy, was said over and over again in disbelief. Some people liked it, but most of them didn't have any knowledge of the original Dark Shadows. My brother, just so you know, hated it. So, what do I think? Here's my take on this. First off, I'm not surprised at Burton's comedy take on this movie. As I said before, he's at a point in his career where he knows what he's good at and what he's not. Planet of the Apes remake. Second, and don't get angry at me for this, but this movie wasn't made for the old fans of the TV show. It was made for a wide audience. Movies at this level are made for the mainstream, not the cult following. This was never going to be the Dark Shadows we fans remember. Nothing can ever be. Trying to recapture the lightning in a bottle would be a fool's errand. I wanted it to be faithful to the original retelling of the Collins saga. I wanted to feel the pain Barnabas goes through as he battles his vampire side. I also wanted werewolves, man-made men, and an aged vampire in Dick Smith makeup. That can never be again. Just like there are different takes on Batman, Dracula, Frankenstein, Tom Cruise, and other fictional characters, this is a different take on Dark Shadows. With all that said, I'm going to give the new Dark Shadows a chance. I did like some of what I saw in the trailer. The 1970s is a cool choice of a setting and appropriate. The vampire Barnabas Collins is a gothic fanged monster. that does not sparkle like a disco ball. Am I a little conflicted as a fan of the original? Yes, but I'm also a fan of Tim Burton, and I'm willing to give his vision a try. I might be disappointed. I might not be. But I'll always have the original Dark Shadows on DVD and Netflix to remind me of those nights when I snuck downstairs into the dark as a child.